In this video, which is part 5 of the YouTube timestamp series tool, what we're going to do here is we're going to fix our item here. More specifically, for example, if I'm going to put in time here, we put it in here, we get an error now, say sorry, no, enter, please enter title. And if you put in this here, now it works. And as you put it in that, you can see the error message removes, but also this here resets and this resets as well. And if I would do this and I remove something here, we get here now a item as well. No minutes or seconds specified. So we need to make sure we specify, and then we can insert these items. So let's start to look how to do this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start working on solving these items here. As you can see here, this is right now just not working correctly. It shows you the blank space. If I put in here this, put in the numbers, this needs to be slightly more fine-tuned. So let's scroll down here, and what I'm going to do here is, well, we have this here that solves this. What we can do here, another one, is another if statement. I'm going to put that in there. And basically here, if length equals 0, in that case, we can assume it should be 0, 0, or we should maybe give it an error. So it's one or the other. So we have to see really what we want to do here. Maybe we should say here an error. I'm sorry, there's no value in there. So that's probably the most logical one. So to do that, what I want to do here is then to create this if statement, because this item here will push through automatically, but I want to condition it now if we are matching certain conditions. So I'm going to create here an if statement. And this if statement, we're going to put in here something, so let's look at it. So first of all, what we want to block is if the length equals or is equal to 0, this or the seconds is equal to 0, in that case, what I want to do is do basically an error. I'm going to give it an error. So I'm going to say error, let's say here, and else we do this. Basically else, we say we will confirm and insert the item or the timestamp item. So I'm going to put in that, say here, and let's look at this. So how are we going to do this here? We're going to put in this, and then we say here, if this, then we're going to say here console log.error. So we need basically later on an error statement. So I'm going to refresh here, and now if I'm going to push that, you see here error. It doesn't add anything. Put in something here, doesn't add nicely. So this all works. So what I want to do here then is the following. We have this, and then maybe what I want to do for the hours, if we don't put in for the hours, I'm going to assume by default it is 0. So if the hours is this, then we're going to say here hours. That's the only one that we will allow. And then we're going to say hours, this should be just a single digit. So I'm going to save that and put it here as that. Then if I submit, if I say here, here, submit. Alright, so this works. So now we have this here, and I do prefer having 2 digits, maybe even nicer, because it's a quite standardized item, but anyway, doesn't matter. So we have this now for the hours. We have this here, but I want to make another if else statement, and the reason why is if, for example, our item here is empty, but we have all of this, we can now put in data here, but I don't want that. I want to say, hold on, we have an error here. So what I'm going to say here, well, let's put it here, no time, no minutes or seconds specified. That's the error. Then for the other ones, I'm going to create another if else statement. So I'm going to put that here and make sure that it is like that. Let's say here if, oh no, else if, sorry, it's else if, like that, but then here another condition. So the condition would be if the length of what exactly the title here is empty. So what I'm going to say here, if this equals, oh sorry, length, dot length equals strict 0. Then what we're going to say here, empty, no title, no, or please enter title, please enter title. Just simple here. Save, refresh. Alright, so if I click on this, no minutes or seconds specified. If I put in this, and then I click on this, please enter title. If I do this, there we are. So this helps us to check and put a check in place for us. So what I want to do now is then, let's put in a error message, and then afterwards we can then start to put all the time and everything. We're getting very close to completion, but we're not done yet there. This can be removed. We don't need this anymore. And what I want to do here is a simple error. Let's put it in here. And what I'm going to do here is going to say HR, so we have a horizontal line, and then I'm going to say here div, and I'm going to give it a class. And in Bootstrap we have these alerts, which is very useful for us. So I'm going to say alert dash danger to make it red, but I'm going to say by default we don't want to show it at all. So I'm going to save that like that, and I'm going to say here error for now, save. Refresh, it doesn't show yet, but we have here the item, and probably if you look here, it should be somewhere in here. There you are. So this one, if I remove this, look at that. Alright, so what I want to do now with the error is I want to put in the error the text. Instead of error, I want to show whatever our statement would be. So for that, I need to assign a ID for the error. So I'm going to say constant, or maybe even let, because we might have multiple assigning of that item. Although it doesn't really matter because this is an ID itself. So we're focusing on the ID, and the ID will never change. So I guess we can put in there this ID. I'm going to say here this is the constant error equals document dot get element by ID. Oh, that is not what I wanted. Get element by ID error, and that's just a constant itself. So once we have this, what I want to do then is I say here error, and let's look at it. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to put it in here. I say error dot, let's see inner text. We're going to reassign the inner text with something new, and that is basically the text we have here. Please enter title dot. All right, copy this, put it in here, and we say here, what is that? Of course, the text here. No minutes and seconds specified. And what we want to do as well, because we need to remove the class name here. So I'm going to say here error dot class list dot, and then remove, and remove here will be based on that one here, the none. Alright, so once we have this, I'm going to put it in here. Save, refresh. Now if I click on this, I get an error. Alright, and then if I say this, you see this. Alright, so if I have this, we have this here, and this should now hide. So what we're going to do here, else, all we're going to do is we're going to grab this here, say here this, and then instead of remove, we say add. Save, refresh. Alright, put in there. Alright, 1, 1, and then here with 0. If you put in 0 here, no problem. And you can see we're posting it. There we are. What I want to do as well, I want to make sure that this is empty after we submit. Because let's be honest, it doesn't make any sense if we submit this. And you can see here, it doesn't filter out this issue here. That's what will be next video. We'll cover that one. But let's first say here, let's look at it. What is that? This is the character. What is the item itself? That is the hour timestamp, right? Okay, no, sorry, not the title timestamp that we have here. What I want to say here, say this, and I say dot, because it's already dot value, so we say this equals blank. So save that, refresh, ABC, or something, put that in there. Right, interesting, doesn't reassign it. We're going to say here, I guess this needs to be specified independently, because or else, because the reason why this is a reference towards this value here, what the value is at that moment. But of course, I don't want that anymore. So what I want to say now is I just say undo whatever we have here. Let's say here this equals that, refresh, go up, up, up. There we are. So it hides this, but you can see here we have an issue. This is still not gone. So what I'm going to say here, This was the char. Let's look for that. That's the char item here. That should be set on the inner text equals 0. I guess it's a text because it's a string value. Save, refresh. So here, ABC, submit. Alright, doesn't work, of course. Submit, 0, remove this, and there we are. This we can maintain because you might say, alright, I want to make 1 minute and 30 seconds afterwards. So then we put in here, new one. So that's fine. So next video, what I want to do is what happens if you have double these values, because this would be an error. Maybe we forgot to change this. So what I want to do is I want to make sure here's an error message that if the time identical, say sorry, you're not allowed to insert this because you already have that. Change the time.